John here, Hot Rods in the Woods. For the first video of the new year, I'm going to start off with putting a rear end in a 67 Dart. Now basically what I'm doing is just mocking this thing up at this point because I need to get it rolled under there so that I can put the bus in the barn, because they're talking about over an inch of freezing rain tonight, and I do not want my bus getting destroyed. Problem with freezing rain or a foot worth of snow on top is as it melts because of the poor insulation in these big coaches, it will find spaces that never leaked and kind of creep back up in. Plus I have these big trees that are 60-70 feet tall that in the event one of them falls, I would rather it fall on the barn roof, because the barn roof will slow it down before it hits the roof of the bus. Sounds like a plan. So what we've got a 8 3/4 rear end. We're taking out the 7 1/4. We're putting in the 8 3/4. The problem with that is that the pads for the spring mounts have been moved in. So what I've done is just set the new spring pads in place. I'll go ahead and center it up. Then I'm going to clamp it down. When I clamp it down, it'll be fine to go ahead and put a floor jack under the back and roll this thing around. And then once I get situated after this storm goes through, I can bring it back out where I can work on it. I can tack weld them in place once I have the proper pinion angle. And then I'll go ahead and remove the old mounts, leave the new mounts, weld them all the way in, and poof, it'll be an 8 3/4. Now for those of you that don't know what's been going on with this, this is originally a 6-cylinder car, slant 6, 225, with a 904. We have built I say built, it's kind of like a Walmart rebuild. We put a cam in it, we did all new gaskets and seals, did go with a set of headers. I'm getting new brackets together for the alternator, power steering, and it's going to have air conditioning, but we're doing the remote 12-volt compressor. We'll see how that works. So at this point, she's just kind of at a stall just for this weather. I did get the yoke in. It now has a 727 that we rebuilt and put a shift kit in. A nice little 2500 stall converter. It'll make it fun. The rear end is getting a 323 positive traction, so it'll be a tire smoker. Not a lot of horsepower, maybe, I don't know, 350, 375, which is plenty just to have fun. So at that point, I'm going to go ahead and start bolting this thing together. If you want to watch me, come along for the ride, and we'll just continue on. Okay, so what we're going to do from here, hopefully you can see this pretty well. We're just going to go ahead and hang the U-bolts. Now these U-bolts are universal, so they're ridiculously long. And we're going to figure out how far we've got to cut them before we do anything. I mean, these will just about touch the ground. If you have a flat tire, you could use them as jack stands because they're ridiculously long. So now you can see we have our U-bolts hanging. Our plate is going to go something like this, if I can manipulate it into the holes. Well, of course it's not going to go easily. Oh, now I got my glove stuck in it. And up we go. Come on, baby. What would you call that, a little long? So what I'm going to do is mark one and cut them all at once. I'll use a cut-off wheel, death wheel, get them all cut. I'll leave about an inch, maybe a little bit less, just in case he wants to do Caltrax or something later. And then we'll bolt these all together. But there you go. Let me get this done and then we'll start going from there. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've gone and cut these down with a cutoff wheel, death wheel, whatever you want to call it. And then what I did was just rounded out the edges a little bit just so I can get the nuts on simply and easily without cross threading them or anything. So now what I'll do is I'm going to take one of these out at a time, being as I did so good at getting in there in the first place. Slide the other one in, and then I'll put a nut right on it. Wow, just like that. That's amazing. You know, usually things just don't go this well. You're probably wondering, why is he wearing gloves today? Well, it's because it's cold. I got a fire started, but it hasn't caught up yet. So there, now it's not going to fall off. Now I'll hold it in place. I know my hand's in the way, but I'll hold it in place, pull the other one out. I'll take the nuts off because I left them on there. And same thing, slide it on. Now I'm not getting so crazy as to adjust pinion angle or anything today. I'm just hoping that a jack will hold this thing up. Now, one of my concerns that occurred to me is that if I put a floor jack under it, it could twist the rear end housing. So we're going to tighten her up real tight, and I think what I'll do is just go ahead, I'll measure her up, get her real close. I don't think once it's in place that it's going to roll, because I should be able to bind it tight enough. So there's one side. I'll go ahead and do the other, then we'll put the dollies under this girl and we'll move her. So I'll be back. Okay, so now you can see she's roughly in place. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure side to side, because I can already see that the axle is a little bit too far to the left because there's more space between the backing plate and the spring. So let's measure that up, and then we will go ahead and give her a little push, see where she needs to be. Yes, I did take the gloves off. Alright, so this side is exactly 2.5. You hear crunching in the background, that's my knees. No, there's no way. This side is 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get her roughly in the right position, which that's pretty darn close. Now all I'm going to do is tighten up all the bolts. So let's do that. See how that works out. That is in place and not going anywhere. Now there's a couple ways we can move this. I don't know how well you can hear me. I can move it with a floor jack under the center, or I can put dollies under it. Either way, if you look, what I did was I basically used the old pads as rough alignment for which way the junk is going to set. It's probably not perfect. We'll deal with that later. I can do that in the lift. I don't have axle studs in here yet. This is just bolted in just to transport it. So I'll go ahead and pull it apart, put it all back together. That'll be for another video. But right now you can see I can now move the car, because with ice coming, it needs to be under there. So that'll be next. But for right now, here we go. More to follow. Okay, so we've made absolutely no progress because the springs are so weak in this car that without the air shocks, I cannot get it jacked up high enough to get it off the jack stands. So, customer didn't want to replace the springs, so here we sit waiting on bolts. This delays me on the day of getting my bus inside here, but I've got my cohort Caden on his way to pick up bolts, and hopefully we'll get her moved here pretty quick. In the meantime, I've got to move the rest of this stuff. So everybody stay warm, be safe. This video probably won't pop out until this ice storm is here and I'm just sitting doing nothing but drinking beer and playing on videos. So bye for now.